proud Lord said that I must bow so low.
All right, well, now it's time for some Game of Thrones talk, and this is a very good episode for us to talk about. Just housekeeping things. We should first start off by saying hello to the YouTube people, because this is a video segment, right?
Yes, this is a video segment, and for those of you guys who are also listening on the podcast, I'm just going to reiterate, and for those of you guys on YouTube, because maybe you guys aren't listening to the podcast yet, I'm a little under the weather right now, so if I sound really congested and stuff like that, I apologize. I am not feeling 100% well, right. But I am feeling well enough to be on to talk some Game of Thrones with you guys.
Yeah, and just again, if you're watching on YouTube, listen to the podcast, because this is part of a larger episode. If you're listening to the podcast, check out the YouTube video, because then you get to see our beautiful faces.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty handsome guy. This guy over here,
I don't know about me, but
kills
the
ladies.
You can look at Ozzy, and you can definitely look at the back of Enrique's head, because it's ridiculous.
Kills the ladies, Carlos. But let's get started with this Game of Thrones recap and analysis here.
Yeah.
Carlos, what were you kind of expecting, and was it overall a satisfying episode for you?
Yes, it was. It was a really good episode. I don't know if I liked it more than the premiere, because I personally didn't have many problems with the premiere. I know some people did for some reason, but whatever. I actually kind of liked the premiere, and then this episode I did really like as well. It was definitely more, like, I wasn't expecting the action that we got at the end, so that was a pleasant surprise. But, all of the planning, and then also, like, in classic Game of Thrones fashion, it kind of went to crap, like their plan, Daenerys' plan at least, went to crap. And then we had the stuff in the north, which was interesting, and we had a great moment, because I know in the last episode, our last Game of Thrones recap, we talked about how we thought Arya had already known about Jon and was kind of just ignoring it. But to find out that she didn't, and have that reveal, and her to have that realization, like, I have family still alive at home. And it was such a great moment, and just a lot of moments like that where you're just like, yes, and we get those moments. And really also some gruesome moments with some grayscale, which was pretty rough, and then a very awkward scene, which is also kind of sweet in a way, but it is really awkward as well. But we'll get to all of it. What do you think?
I thought this was a pretty well done episode. For those of you guys who really didn't like the premiere, I think this will be your episode. I mean, it's kind of action packed. It has a lot more dialogue, and you were starting to see a lot of these stories really winding down.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, we got Jorah Mormont. I think that's what his name is. Jorah. Yeah,
Jorah the Andal.
Jorah the Andal. Yeah,
Sir Jorah.
Meeting up with Sam at the Citadel. So those stories are really colliding together right there. We have Daenerys Targaryen meeting with Melisandre. Melisandre basically tells Daenerys, hey, there's another one that's basically similar like you, who's really brought the North together. And she mentions the White Walkers to Daenerys, which, again, Daenerys is now known of Jon Snow's presence. So you got all these stories really coming, kind of colliding together now at this point in time, and you have characters being aware of other characters' existence. Mm-hmm. Like you mentioned before, Arya not knowing that she had family, which was you saw her reaction. It was such a great moment. She was like, I have nowhere to go. And then her friend's like, yeah, you do. You got home, man. And your brother basically took back the North. She's like, what? So it's great to get these moments together. And it's great to see that these stories are finally winding down, unfortunately. But these stories are finally winding down, and maybe we're going to get some payoff later. Yeah. So I feel like for those of you guys, again, who did not really feel that the premiere is satisfying, I feel like this episode really does that for you guys, because we really get these stories, again, colliding with one another. And it's a little bit action-packed towards the end, like Carlos had previously mentioned.
Because, Melisandre gets there. I guess that's what starts it, right? Mm-hmm. Melisandre gets there. They have that conversation. And then they start talking about Jon Snow. But then there's also the conversation with Varys. What did you think about all these different conversations? And what was your favorite? I think the most layered was definitely the one with Varys, because you get that back and forth. And it kind of opens up a really, really consistent theme throughout this episode, which is how these old alliances and all the things that have happened in the show that we've seen so far, they really should not matter. We need to forget about all this and move forward because we got bigger fish to fry. And that's something that comes up quite a bit in this episode where it's like, they did this, and then everybody's pointing at each other like, well, they did this, they were aligned with this person. Well, I hate to tell you, but half of those people are dead. We need to move on. That's my favorite conversation because it kind of embodies the entire theme of this episode in my mind. But I do love the conversation with Tyrion and her about Jon, because obviously that has huge implications moving forward. Yes. And then Melisandre getting there is great. But what do you think about all of Dragonstone and all that?
I think my favorite conversation is the one that you mentioned with Jon Snow, but I will agree with you that the one that is layered the most is, of course, the one with Varys. She and Varys kind of have a back and forth at this point in time and she has every right at this point because he is not the worst trustworthy in her eyes, you know? I mean, he has had spies on her. He does know a lot about her, and they just met probably just a few months ago. So I really like this dialogue because we never really got these two actually cordially meeting before. And it's really interesting to see these two actually go at it. She basically goes ahead and says, okay, well, you know, how can I trust you after all the stuff you've done? How can I trust you? And how do I know that you'll serve me? And et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he basically, she's a very capable woman at this point in time, and she's very intelligent. And I really find it impressive that she's going up against someone like Varys himself, who was proven to be a very capable person himself, arguably one of the most smartest people in this whole entire universe. Yeah. So, you know, I love the fact how he convinces her and he says, look, honestly, I don't serve a king or queen, but who I do serve is the people, because I've been there. I've been a slave. I've been through hell and back. So my loyalty will always be towards the people. And I love that she respects that. You know, she understands that because she was a slave. So they have that bond as
a slave
it is.
That he, in a way, sold off. He arranged the marriage with Khal Drogo.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating. I love that came up. And, I did really love that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, they have that bond where they're both slaves and where he arranged that to happen. You know, you have both of these situations really, you know, they're really tough things to talk about from both characters because it's both something that they both have gone through. But you see that they find the common ground, which I ultimately agree with, where she's like, hey, okay, I'll let you aboard. And Tyrion supports Varys because Varys is, again, very, very trustworthy.
Yeah. One more conversation that does happen in Dragonstone, which takes place a little bit later, I'm assuming, is when Yara joins them, Lady Olenna joins them, and then I can't remember her name, but the Queen of Dorne or whatever, the Lord of Dorne now, the mother of the Sand Snake, she joins them, and it's their war council. They're deciding how they're going to go about this. And everyone's like, we need to just attack King's Landing, and Daenerys is like, no. We need Westerosi soldiers to be the ones who take King's Landing. Now, the problem with that is then the Dornish and the Tyrells look at that and go, whoa, so you're just using us, like, and you're just gonna sit back? That doesn't work out very well for us. And then Daenerys reveals her plan that the Unsullied are going to take, they're gonna take, Casterly Rock, excuse me, I lost it for a second. They're gonna take Casterly Rock. And I think, I don't know about you, but I actually really like this plan on one level, but on another level, especially, I mean, hindsight's 20/20, so we know what happens to this plan by the end of the episode. But we should have known that something was going to happen, because when was the last time somebody said that they were going to march on Casterly Rock?
I don't remember.
Robb Stark.
Oh.
Robb Stark was marching on Casterly Rock, and he got, the Red Wedding has happened on the way to Casterly Rock. So when you decide you're going to march on Casterly Rock, good things tend not to happen. So I think we should have known that something was going to happen, but at the same time, it does seem like a good plan overall. What did you think of the plan?
I really did like the plan, honestly, because, you know, Tyrion is using his military experience and trying to really bring down Cersei's power. She was the one to draw first blood, though. I don't think that that's something that they were expecting to really happen.
I don't think there's anything else we need to get to before we get to the battle, because Yara is basically sailing with her entire fleet, bringing the Dornish leaders back to Dorne, and they're going to pick up the Dornish soldiers, and they're going to march on Westeros. They're not Westeros. They're going to march on King's Landing. They're going to sail back to King's Landing. That's the plan.
Yes.
It obviously doesn't go very well because Euron intercepts them and basically lights everything on fire, starts cutting people's tongues out. He kills all 3 of the sand snakes, and he takes...
No, he kills 2 of them. The third one's still alive.
Did we see...
we never saw the death of the third one.
You're right. We never saw the death of the third one. So he kills 2 of the sand snakes. We don't know if Yara's dead or not. He threatens Yara, and then Theon basically snaps and runs, which, oh man, it's so tragic because you're like, Theon's finally back, and then he becomes a coward, and it kind of sucks. Theon's such a horribly tragic character. This obviously is a great action scene, and it's character-driven action, so that really works. Yara is basically fighting for... It almost feels like she's fighting for the Iron Islands because it's the guy who took the crown from her. So it's a great, very emotion-filled action scene, and I just really, really did love that scene.
Yes. By the way, Jessica Henwick, I think, plays Nymeria Sand. I think that's her name. Yes. Let's check her out really quickly. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out like if that's actress's name. But yeah, I mean it's unfortunate to really see Theon really go through that path again. I mean this is a trigger for him. I mean he sees all these people dying in front of him and getting tortured as well. I mean it is. I mean we know as fans of the show that he has been tortured, extensively by Ramsay Bolton. So it is really just upsetting for him. And it's not that he's a coward, it's just, it triggers something. I mean, this is a trigger for him.
But
so I wouldn't necessarily...
the disappointment in Yara's face.
Yeah, I mean, but...
Where do you think Theon goes now?
It has to go back to Daenerys. But, I mean, at this point, it's tough. I mean, it's tough because, okay, either way, it's like, if he would have ran up to Yara, he would have killed her. There's just no way. Like, she would have died. But I guess she wanted to die in comfort knowing that her brother fought for her.
I know, that's
but
why...
it's kind of just like, look...
still,
for me,
I'm on Yara's side. I'm so disappointed in Theon.
I'm not disappointed, because I understand...
I get it, but...
No, it's like, you're triggered, and you've been going through so much stuff. And the thing is, I actually give him props, because it's not like he ran away from the fight. He was fighting, and then basically...
And then when they needed him most, he...
And then basically...
He's like freaking
basically,
Avatar.
when he's the last man standing, he's getting it's basically he's gonna watch his sister die, and then he might die. So it's tough at this point. I mean, it's a really tough decision. I'm not gonna say that I'm 100% disappointed in him, because it's a very tough decision, and he loves his sister. Clearly, he's been fighting for her for a long time, and he fought beside her in the battle, but he didn't want to see his sister die. I feel like he's going to try to come back and fight for her, but he got triggered. And I feel like once he snaps back into it, he's going to be like, okay, damn, I messed up.
Still disappointed. Okay, the next episode is called The Queen's Justice. That's obviously talking about Cersei, right?
Maybe.
Okay, I think it is. I think because Euron's bringing his prize back to her, and I think it's Illyria, who's the queen, I guess, of Dorne. I don't know if she's a queen, lord of Dorne, whatever.
Yes.
I think she's the prize, and I think Cersei's going to kill her.
Yara.
No, but Yara hasn't done anything to personally insult or harm Cersei.
Yes, she has. She joined Daenerys.
Yeah, not personal. That's a political situation.
I feel like that's personally, because she takes a lot of things personally. But I mean,
my point is, Illyria killed Cersei's daughter.
100%.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, whatever Yara did, that's complete. That's so. No,
tiny.
I mean,
of course, she's gonna go after the other one too. I mean, the main one. I mean, she killed her daughter in innocence. And actually, speaking of which,
gonna kill Illyria.
Speaking of which, I think that's really interesting. How Tyrion actually mentioned that to Illyria. He's like, "We don't poison little girls here."
Yeah.